MVDX, I've netted over $1,000. Another favorite strategy of mine is to apply dollar cost average. Just like my previous videos, I will cover what is dollar cost average trading concept. I will also share with you guys some examples and live trading results I've implemented over the past days and weeks. What is dollar cost trade concept? DCA is an acronym for dollar cost average. DCA is a buying method to lower your average cost. Like I said before, no one can predict the lowest price a stock can drop. By implementing dollar cost average, it will allow us to guesstimate the lowest cost as possible. So understanding DCA will help us lower our costs, therefore maximize our profit. This involves applying a math formula based on your capital size to buy stocks, ETFs, or options at multiple lots. Now, most of you probably heard of dollar cost average. One is a simple dollar cost average. Here, I'll show you guys some examples of what I've recently used. The past week, I've traded SPY-U, which is a leveraged ETF for SPY. I have marked down the total capitals I'm willing to risk, which is $4.8 thousand. The first order, I actually purchased it at market value. And notice I've added an order for 25 quantity. I have another order set at limit order. When SPY-U drops to $48.38, buy another 25 shares. If SPY-U drops to $47.97, buy another 25 share. If SPY-U drops to 47, buy another 25 share. And that will total up to 100 shares. That will allow me to implement option strategy if I choose to. So the total would have been $4,805. Even before I place these limit orders on my broker, I've also marked down the probability of how likely do I think the lots will get executed. So all four of these, I would say there was a high probability in my opinion. Here's what actually happened. Only 3 out of 4 lots were executed. So the first lot at market value, it will always get executed because I'm buying it at market value. The limit order may or may not get executed. It just happened that the second lot was executed and the third lot was executed. Currently, I own 75 shares of SPY-U. This is what I would consider a simple dollar cost average because the quantity amount is fixed throughout the orders I place, whether it's market value or limit orders. If all 4 lots were executed, my average cost would have been $48.06. Alright, next let's review what a weighted dollar cost average is. So keep in mind for this same example, SPY-U is $48.06 if we were to implement a simple dollar cost average. Now let's convert the simple dollar cost average to weighted dollar cost average. When I converted over to the weighted dollar cost average, it lowered the cost to $47.75. Here's how I apply the weighted dollar cost average. The first one, we'll use the same stock price I set here. First one will be market value. But this time, I set the quantity to 10. If I were to set it to 10, next lot would be 20, third lot would be 30, last one would be 40. That will total to 100 shares. This is more of a what-if scenario. If I ended up applying the weighted dollar cost average, this is what the cost would come down to, $47.75, assuming if all 4 lots were hit. Now, I'll show you guys an example of where I implemented this recently. We'll use Tradezella filters. I'll add a filter for SPY-U. On SPY-U, I made $91.64. That was on November 20th. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this. On November 20th, I set 4 orders to buy SPY-U using simple dollar cost average. The timestamp is not correct, but the first lot I purchased it at $48.87. And the reason why I went with $47.87, according to the RSI 1 hour level, is below 50. And that's when I felt kind of comfortable to get in on this move. So I purchased the first lot around this price here, probably around like the second candlestick with a strong wick. The bottom wick shows a strong support of buyers buying at the market value, so this gave me another sense of confidence. And then the second lot, I purchased it at $48.38. The other one was $47.97. And as soon as I reached the lowest $47.97, and it appears to be pretty low within that day. So it looks like the lowest around that time frame was $47.77. And the stock market did a reversal. it continued to go up actually. And of course, I was away from my desk up until maybe 3:45 to 4 o'clock. I had time to get back to my computer. I looked at it. Initially, this trade was set up as a swing trade. Like I always tell people, my core criteria is swing trading, but if I see profit within the same day, I will close it out. So I basically just closed it out, lock in $91.75. If I had held onto it to the next day, I would have made more money, but I figure every day is a new opportunity. Might as well lock in some profit. So this is an example of a simple dollar cost average. All right, next, I'll show you guys my weighted dollar cost average. For my weighted dollar cost average, I've also implemented this recently. Ticker is NVDX. That's the leverage ETF for NVIDIA. And I've also highlighted this in different colors. The colors represents the probability of what I think will hit the number or not. So I basically marked the first 3 orders as high. Now for NVDX, I did not set a market value for my first order. I set a limit order because I was really confident it was going to hit 1950 when I checked the pre-market hours. So essentially, I set the first 4 orders with a 50 cents decrement. So I said, okay, set an order to buy 50 shares of NVDX at $19.50. I set a second order to buy NVDX at $19, 50 shares. If it drops another 50 cents, buy another 50 shares. The remaining orders from row 9 to 14 is based on key levels. Since I set the first 4 orders based on 50 cents decrement, the remaining orders were based on key level support. So key level support means what stock price does this ticker hover around a lot? Does it hover around resistance and support at a certain price? So to me, the answer is yes. Around $17.52, NVDX actually hit a support level here. Bottom wick is strong. It continued to bounce up throughout the day on November 18th. Another strong support here was on November 4th, as well as October 29th, and previous days also show similar support. So that's why I was pretty confident that $17.52 is a good key support level. The next key support level, after analyzing this, is if NVDX were to drop, what's the likely support level it will hover around at? According to my analysis, is around $16.48. October 31st, there were multiple candlesticks that shows a strong support. On October 15th, there's a strong resistance around this key price level. So I felt confident, okay, $16.48 is the next key price level. And I continued to analyze this and said, okay, if it drops below 1648, what's the next key level I think will likely hit? Meaning, where would it hover around for a couple of hours, a couple of days? It's $14.15. So I basically continued to plot the key levels up until the bottom. So I had told myself, what was the lowest NVDX can go recently at least? So it appears to be about $8.31. This is important because if this was the lowest, it could also come back to the low again. That's why I wanted to factor some sort of weighted average based on $8.31. So this is what led me to plot these stock price. These are just key level. 1752. So I set an order to say buy 100 shares if it reached $17.52. And this is where the weighted average comes in play. If it drops more, I will increase my quantity. If it reached $16.48, buy 200 shares. If it reached $14.15, buy another 200 shares. Kept on buying it up until it reached my last key level support, which is $8.31. Now, of course, these were orders I set up before the stock market even opened. The first 3 lots, I said it probably has a high probability of it getting executed. The next 4 lots, I rated medium probability. And the last 3 lots were low probability. So here's the actual results. Only 3 out of the 10 lots were executed. But let's say if all 10 lots were executed for some reason, I don't know, some COVID event started, 9/11. If it does happen, that means that my average price for NVDX would have been $13.72. But because only the first 3 lots were executed, my average cost is $19. The first 4 order lots were based on simple dollar cost average. If it goes beyond the 5th order, then that's where it kind of makes sense for me to apply my weighted dollar cost average. NVDX, I've netted over $1,000 through the course of its lifetime. Again, Fidelity timestamp is not correct, so we have to ignore these. The dates, however, are correct. So for NVDX, I actually started this around, I believe, the $20 and $62 range. So I bought this at limit order at 100 shares. When it dropped to $20.11, I set another limit order to buy 100 shares. And then when it kept on dropping, I actually increased my quantity. So on November 15th, it was at $18.59. I set an order to buy 200 shares. On November 18th, I bought 200 shares at $17.98. Because NVIDIA had a strong outcome from their earnings, that's where I've decided to put 400 shares at $19.44, 400 shares at $19, and that actually kind of netted me close to maybe $700. When does it make sense to use dollar cost average? Here are some scenarios. To use dollar cost average, especially weighted dollar cost average, you want to buy stocks, ETFs, or options with a large amount of capital, it makes sense to use the weighted dollar cost average as opposed to the simple dollar cost average. You believe the asset will perform well in the long term and want to lower your costs. Simple or weighted dollar cost average makes sense. You want to buy the ticker at the lowest price as possible based on math. Then again, you want to implement either the simple dollar cost average or weighted dollar cost average. Me personally, I prefer the weighted dollar cost average. One of the downfall is it will probably take you a little bit longer to play around with the numbers to see, what kind of numbers you're comfortable at owning. It's possible maybe only the first 3 lots will get executed. The rest of the remaining lots may not get executed for a very long time. How comfortable are you holding just 150 shares? Given the fact that NVIDIA could also spike up a lot more on Monday, right? Those are questions you would have to ask yourself. Regardless if it's simple dollar cost average or weighted dollar cost average, it will help you maximize your profit. That's all I have. Hope everyone enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.